We're back.
I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. Hey, hey. Well, I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. Hey, hey. Till I
Need a dollar, 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 that's what I need.
And if I share with you my
Hey.
story, would you share your dollar with me?
Hey, hey.
Bad times are coming, and I'm
All right, everybody coming in.
so, hey, hey. Well,
Tell us where you're tuning in from. Tell us where you're tuning in from. Muffins with Morgan. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.
I'm looking for somebody come and help me carry this load. I need
Vibing.
dollar,
All right, everybody. Tell us where you're tuning in from. Tell us where you're tuning in from as we're starting off this Muffins with Morgan. I felt like we had to get some good vibes in here this Saturday. Change up the vibe a little bit, you know.
'Cause everything around me is falling down.
Shout out to David coming in. Shout out to Larry. Shout out to Nikki. Shout out to Kimberly that's in here. Shout out to Darian that's in here. Shout out to Sophia. What's going on? We haven't talked in a hot minute. It's good to see you in here. It's awesome seeing all these people flowing in here right now. John from ATL. Obviously, I'm from ATL, so good to see some ATLians in here. Yeah, you know, I had to throw in a different song. I may not have expected the song, so normally I come in with some rap, but I was like, let's switch up today. All right, Phil. Shout out to Phil. Hey, in Miami. All right, so not too far from me. Shout out to Miami there. We got Canada. Shout out to Canada. Shout out to Canada right there. There we go. Emily, I'm feeling it. I'm definitely feeling it with this song. Keelan, what's going on from Dublin? Shout out to Ram from India. We got all different type of nationalities in here. It's always exciting to see this. Shout out to Amula, if I'm saying that right. Shout out to you and over there in Toronto. Matthew, shout out to you in Boston. Haven't been up to Boston in forever. It's been way too long because I've been to Boston. Scott, what's going on from the gym? I hit the gym this morning. Got my bike in, so feeling good. Cynthia, great seeing you from New York. My brother just went up there 2 weeks ago. So, Cactus Jack, it's lit. There we go. Shout out to Philly. Shout out to St. Louis. We got Florida, Jeremy. We got Jeremy in the house. So, I mean, we got a lot of great people in here right now. All right, guys. So, as always, if you've been here before with Muffins with Morgan, what we talk about is sales-related questions. So, I'm normally here for an hour. We end around at 12. And then that's it. So whatever questions that you have in your sales role, in your career, you're starting off early in sales, I'm here to answer that. Okay, that's what this show's all about. So again, as always, if you've been here before, drop in your questions in the chat. I will answer all of them. However, if there's a lot that comes in, I say, hey, hold on, I'll get to every single one. But just make sure when you drop your questions in there, we will make sure to throw it up in here on the screen, and we will answer it. All right. So I'm going to start off with a question that I got this week, and then we're going to go into the rest of this segment. So someone asked me, you know, it seems that cold calling has started to pick up as of late. I don't know, leaders or reps, you guys have been seeing that lately. A lot of teams have been telling me that cold calling, people are starting to pick up more than they were 6 months ago, right? So one thing that someone asked me, they were like, hey, how do you get people to start picking up the phone? How do I get my team to just pick up the phone? Maybe like, how do you do that? So here's the thing. Like the obvious answer is to pick up the phone, right? But this is one thing I would recommend you to do. So if you're a rep and you're afraid to pick up the phone and you're hesitant, leaders, your reps aren't picking up the phone, have a go-to song that you play before you go into it. So that's really key. Have a song before you go into your cold calling blitz or whatever cold calls that you want to do. So this all comes from the human brain. So when we play a certain song or we do a certain activity, if we do it over and over again, what ends up happening is that we feel more empowered to do that activity because we keep hearing it over and over again. So have a go-to song when you are going to do your cold calling blitz. It will make it a lot easier for you to do it. So keep that in mind. That's helped me out as a rep, And I hopefully it helps some of you all out there as well. So keep that in mind. That's what I would encourage you to do, because that's going to be helpful there. You know, the Calvin just said it over there, priming. Yeah, that's what you want to do. You want to prime this up. You want to make sure you can get that stuff done. All right. Shout out to Judith over there hopping in. All right, cool. So let's hop into some questions. All right. Pick up the phone, man. You just got to do it. All right. All right, here we go. What do you think are the 3 biggest sinks drains of an AE BDM's time? I think this is a fantastic question. I love this. All right, so number 1, what's the biggest time sink? I think it's when an AE is just following up with accounts and keeping things in their pipeline that is not going to close. And obviously you want to look at the visuals and be like, oh man, I got a lot of big pipeline. But Hector, you and I both know sometimes like it's not a real pipeline. So the biggest time sinks or the drains that you can have is following up all these people that you should just go ahead and cut off and find new pipeline to go get. That's probably the number 1 biggest time sink that an AE will have right there. Number 2 is you waiting for an SDR or BDR to give you opportunity. This is the biggest time sink because you're just going to be sitting there just waiting. So you're just going to be like, all right, well, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to go do my own prospecting. So that actually is a bigger time sink for you, because if you prospect, it would allow you to have more active selling time because you'll have more people to sell to. So a big time sink or drain is you basically complaining or being like, oh man, SDRs aren't giving me enough leads or whatever that is. You know, at the end of the day, that's wasting your time, right? So I would make sure you are not doing that. All right. That's number 2. Andre's going to go get a haircut. That's hilarious. And then number 3 that I would say is a big time sink for an AE is looking at the wrong dashboards. So a lot of this is just doing the wrong things, but looking at the wrong dashboards. I think a lot of times is an AE will go in Salesforce and be spinning out all these times, looking at the wrong dashboards or taking way too long to look at information in the CRM. In the CRM, there's valuable and critical information about different industries and personas that you can sell to. So if I was an AE, I would just create dashboards off of who are we selling the most into? Like what markets are paying attention to us the most? And a big time drain that you can have is looking through Salesforce all day long and not building those repeatable reports and looking at the wrong ones. So Hector, hopefully that's helpful. Those are even my 3 things. If anyone else in the chat wants to add additional to this question, right? I would definitely add to that as well. But I think those are 3 things that would prevent an AE BDM to waste their time there. All right. So Emily's asking, people filling out forms online, then not wanting to hear from you, how to break that barrier. All right. So Emily, please give me a little bit more context here. Filling out a form, what exactly does that mean to you? Does that mean that they fill out a form and say, hey, I want to talk to you? Or is it filling out a form because they downloaded a webinar replay? Was it a ebook download? Emily, if you give me some more context on this question, I'd be able to answer this a little bit better so then I understand what exactly that means when someone fills out a form, because it means differently for everybody. So yeah, if you could help me out there, that would be incredibly helpful. So, all right, again, let's make sure the questions are flowing in here. Matt brings up a great point as we get context from Emily here. Expect 50% from your SDR and you take the lead on the other 50%. Make sure your total contribution is 5 times your quarterly target. That's exactly what I would be doing. And if you're able to do that, you're going to be in a way better spot, because, if you're scrambling, right, you're like, I don't know what's going on, then, you're going to put yourself in a really bad spot. And we definitely do not want to do that. Okay. So make sure that you're going about it in that way. So, Emily, I'm just going to answer this before, I guess if we don't get some context here, my whole thing is, how do you break through the barrier? The best way to break through the barrier is to connect with someone on LinkedIn. This is a step that a lot of people miss out on. If someone fills out a form, you should go ahead and immediately send them a connection request so that they can put a face to the name. And now this is going to be a lot easier for me to go take action on to get this person to schedule a meeting with. That's what you should be able to do. Now, if they say they don't want to hear from you, that would be some clarification on what exactly does that mean there. But what I would do is reach out to someone on LinkedIn. People are willing to connect on LinkedIn. Again, if they went ahead and did that, then that would be the best way to go at it as well. Yeah, so Matt, that's what I'm saying. Because if it's downloaded a webinar or a white paper, most people don't. I don't think I've ever read a white paper, and most webinars I join are absolutely boring. So I leave like pretty quickly. So if they're doing that, then that's a completely different story. But if they fill out on a form and said, I want to talk to you, then they say that they don't want to talk to you, then I'm just confused. Like, what are you doing? Right? That doesn't even make any sense. Right? So that's what I need to break through the barrier. But Emily, if you want to provide some more context on that, I can come back to that one. But we got some other questions flowing in here, so I want to get to them. So Scott, can the amount of sales tips and advice potentially have a reverse effect? This is a fantastic question. Yes, if you do nothing with it. So let's go back to that. The answer is yes, if you do nothing with it. There is paralysis analysis. You get overwhelmed with all that information, right? And then now you're like, what do I do? So what I would pay attention to there is take your information and execute it one by one. So normally what I tell people is if you read a book, you go through a training, you go through a webinar, I tell people to grab 3 things that they want out of that webinar, book, etc. I do the same thing. And then execute on those 3 things. If you take a page of 20 notes or something like that, and you try to go do all those 20 things, that's going to be really silly for you to do because you're going to be overwhelmed. So Scott, it can, if you do nothing or you get overwhelmed, your paralysis analysis, take 3 things and then execute on those 3 things and then go back to your notes and then continuously execute after you've done those 3 things, but don't do any more until you've accomplished the 3 things and then move on to the next thing. So that'd be my advice there, Scott. And that's a great question because I know a lot of people right now, you're probably facing that with all the content that's coming out, but you need to compartmentalize it to see success. So we got a lot of questions flowing through. Like I said, I'm going to get through them. And I think that was a great question there. So can you suggest good books to read on sales? I have a ton. I have a whole list actually that I created on Amazon when I took my entire break because I knew that this is a question I get almost every single day. Morgan, what are some books that I could be reading? So what I'm going to do is, right, I'm going to drop this in for you here if I can in the comments and you guys will be able to get it. So I think I'll be able to post it. I think it'll let me do it. Yep, boom. So you guys see right there, I just dropped it in there. That right there is a book list of all the sales books that you can go get. So whoever asked that question, go in there, go look at the entire list. All the books that you probably want are in there, all right? So go look at it. Go pick a couple out. The things I would suggest, there's 3 on there that I would get right now, all right? Like right now, I would make sure to pick up, all right? The Only Sales Guide You'll Ever Need by Anthony Ilanaro. Great author, great salesperson. Go pick that up. Number 2 that I'd pick up in there is Captivate, The Science of Succeeding with People. This isn't a sales book, but this teaches you how to read people's facial expressions. All right, so we're moving into a virtual world where you're on Zoom a lot. So it'd probably be helpful if you could read people's facial expressions, all right? So pick that one up. And then the other one in there is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Make sure to pick that one up as well. So you guys see it right there. It's in the comments. You guys can go pick it up if you want to. I would highly encourage you to do so. So go do that right there. All right. So we got that one. All right. So let's go to the next question here. All right. Let's keep the questions flowing. Hopefully Andre gets a fresh cut over there. All right. Objection handling. A lot of my reps are struggling with the objection. I'm not the decision maker. I don't make any purchase decisions, and you should just want to handle this when they're talking to a good persona or influence of a decision. So no, yeah, Todd is great. That's one of my guys too. So first and foremost, Sophia, on this one, what you're prone to do, right, is you want to be like, hey, you're the right person, Sally, let's talk, right? Because You know, at the end of the day, like, I called you, right? I didn't make a mistake, right? But at the same time, we can't say that to the prospect. It's not going to work. So again, what do we do here? It's a great question. This is how you handle this objection right here. And I got this from Kevin Dorsey. He gave me the advice on this. And then I've taken his advice and then I put it to this objection because I feel like it makes the most sense. And I added something to it. So when I get this, right, I'm not the decision maker. I don't make decisions. I'm not the right person, right? I say, hey, completely understand that. Normally when I talk to, let's say if I was talking to a director of sales development, normally when I talk to a director of sales development, they normally handle these certain things when we're in the process of them deciding for this X solution, X, Y, and Z. Do you handle those things in your organization or am I completely off here? So now what ends up happening here, Sophia, is the person will then be like, oh yeah, I handle one of the three things, right? And then from that, I can be like, hey, well, we actually work with you pretty closely when we're in this sales cycle. And so I would love to have a conversation with you to figure out what's going on in your role based on what you said there. This is how we help with whatever they chose in the X, Y, Z. And then when I move forward from there, then now I can set that person up with the conversation. I can figure out who the next person I need to talk to. And now the whole goal here is I come off as a trusted advisor because I led the conversation that way and picked up a couple of priorities and challenges that I know that this person cares about. That then in return helps me be way more successful in my approach. And now that buyer is like, okay, well, now I'm going to be able to help this person get to the ultimate decision maker, whoever that is. And if they don't handle those things, then I'll go find the person who handles those things and I can go find the person I really need to go talk to. But Sophia, when you want to handle that objection, you always just bucket people and say, hey, great. You know, here are X, Y, Z things that you normally deal with. Here it is in the bucket, right? It's called just a bucketing approach. Then I ask, hey, is this in the wheelhouse? And again, if it's not, then, you know, completely fine. But most people are going to say it's in their wheelhouse because you come off again as a trusted resource, as a sales rep. And then now you're off to the races to have that conversation. Because at the end of the day, what you want here is you want that person to be a teammate to you. And then now that that person is a teammate to you, they're going to be willing to then share that information and get you to the next person you're looking to get to. So Sophia, hopefully that helps in answering that question. And that's a great question as well. And then Matt added some extra context in here too. So you guys pay attention to what Matt's dropping in there in the comments. So I see some additional questions here. I'm going to get to you all real quick. So let's see who else is in here. All right. So boom. Some tips for subject lines that can get your LinkedIn InMail opens. So first and foremost, I'm not a huge fan of LinkedIn InMail. The reason for that is because the view rates on those have gone down as of late. I'm not saying not to do it. They just have gone down. Okay. So what do we need to do here to get a response? So this is a go-to on subject lines. All right. This isn't just for LinkedIn InMails. This is for your emails. This tip I'm about to give right here, I had to write this down. All right. We got the muffins in play. All right, this is a muffin tip. All right, this is a muffin tip. So what I would do is make sure, right, your subject line is less than 5 words. What I always tell people is be brief, be brilliant, be gone. All right, we don't want a novel in our subject line. Keep it less than 5 words. Normally, you want to keep it like at 3 if you can, but again, less than 5 words. So when you're going about your subject line, what I normally tell people is if you add these 3 components, it's going to be very helpful across the board, right? So 1 is personalization, 2 is a relevant topic, and 3 is your company name. So an example of how I would normally go about thinking about my subject lines are those 3 things. And I'm trying to make sure that it's unique in some way. So let's say if I was going after Sally, for example, Sally is a VP of sales at an organization. And I noticed that in her organization, she's hiring sales development reps. So that would be something I could use as a personalization, right? To trigger it's an insight that I found. Relevant topic. A relevant topic is something that you talk to your buyers about quite frequently. So that could be, for my example, prospecting. Again, for you here, Approva, it could be something different. But I think about the topic that I talk to my customers about a lot. That's going to be the middle piece. Then the last piece is your company. So that's your company name. So that would be like, for example, I would put JB Sales, you would put whatever your company name is. So this is a great way to set up your subject lines and allow you to be creative over time. Again, this is a formula, right? I can't give you the silver bullet on the subject lines. Otherwise, yeah, I would be straight deuce mode on this. I would figure out the secret, right? But that's a formula you can follow every single time. Do I have something that's personalized? Do I have something that's a relevant topic to this buyer? 3, put your company name, because when you put your company name, it increases the open rates on the subject line. So again, it's something to pay attention to, something to be mindful of, and that's what I would be doing right there. So Prover, hopefully that helps there. If anybody has any additional things they want to add there, you can, but that's been super helpful for us so far. We're about 20 minutes in. So again, let's keep the chat going here. Everyone's good stuff. We got Ali in here. Aloha to Ali. Sophia, good to hear that you're going over a doc. We did the same thing at my team. So that was good stuff about that. All right. So let's go to another question here. And let's see. They got some good questions in here. All right. Dun, dun, dun. What is your must for content and follow-ups while you're being ghosted? So this is a good one. Get straight ghosted. So this is my take when you get ghosted. There's 2 things you can do. One, this is my go-to, is you're following up with this person. And there's an entire thread. So what I would do is I edit the subject line and I change it to, did I lose you? And the reason that works is because people don't want to feel like that they've been lost. And so that sparks an emotion to get you more of a response. So again, when you put that subject line, edit the subject line to, did I lose you? People don't want to feel like, man, I've lost out on something. So that's why you put the, did I lose you? And then obviously you got all the stuff in your thread that you then would have. All right. So again, that's what I would do. Number 2 is, this is where I'm going to talk about video. If you're getting ghosted, video is a good way to lead with what Chris Voss calls tactical empathy. Right. So if I come on video and say, hey, where you at? Right. I'm not gonna say that exactly, but where are you? Right. They see my face. Right. They hear my tone. They hear my inflection. So because of that, and I'm coming with the video as a follow-up, that is going to fundamentally change the way that person is going to reply to me. So that content, right, that I'm going to follow up with is, hey, I was doing some deeper dive in your organization, and here's a couple of things that I found, and here's the reason I'm reaching back out. So that's what you would do when you are following back up when someone's ghosted. So one is, Robbie just put it right there. You just put in, did I lose you as a subject line? You're adding nothing in the body. So you're just editing the subject line of the email thread. Boom, nothing in the body. And then as a video, right, follow up, hey, been diving deeper into your organization. Here's a couple things that I found. Here's what we talked about last time. Then boom, let's have a conversation. Anthony, those are 2 things that you can do right there to get people to appear and not ghost on you. All right, someone asked, how did it work out for you? What worked out for me? What exactly are you talking about there? So I can tell you what worked or what didn't work. And we got a couple questions still flowing in. And if you guys have found value from this so far, let's tag someone in who should be hearing this content, share it out, like it. We want to keep these things flowing as we're here, as always. And again, I appreciate you all asking these questions. But let's keep this thing flowing here on a Saturday. Again, I appreciate you all coming out and tuning in. But, let's keep things flowing right here. All right. So any suggestions on optimizing an email campaign? So an email campaign in terms of a sales email campaign, marketing campaign, there's tons of different email campaigns. But my whole thing at the end of the day is to tell you to have a multi-touch approach. That's the easiest thing I can tell you. that when you're going about doing an email campaign, there's different steps that can tell you exactly what to do. However, the most important thing is that you have multiple touches in your campaign. Are you using email? Are you using your phone? Are you using the video? Like, these are things you need to be doing, because if you're not doing them, then you're only going to be siloed and you're only going to be focusing on one touch for that person. And that's not going to be helpful. So make sure that you're doing that you're having a multi-touch approach and you're doing multiple things in your email campaign to see results. Ultimately, the best advice I have here is to A/B test. Does 10 touches in 20 days work? Do 12 touches in 25 days work? I don't really know. That's something that you would have to figure out there. Last thing I'll give you is pay attention to this. The first 4 to 5 words of your email are the most important. And if you do these things, you will have a lower response rate and you will have a lower open rate when you say these things at the beginning of your email. I hope all is well. I hope that you're staying safe. I hope that you're doing well in these unprecedented times. If I hear that one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. So here's the thing. Don't do that. I ask every single training, the leaders, whether it's the CEO who happens to be in the training, to the executives, to the managers, to enablement, what happens when you see hope all is well? 99% of people say, I'm probably not going to reply, or they immediately delete it. So I have no idea why people keep doing this. Get rid of it. Don't do it. That advice alone was going to save you a lot of headaches and get you a lot more responses. That alone. Okay? So make sure you're doing that. That's critical. I just gave you that right there. All right. So make sure you're doing that stuff, following those techniques. It's going to be helpful for you. All right. So let's keep things flowing. That's a great question. However, A/B testing is going to be your friend there. All right. So moving from a senior procurement role to an SDR next month, what do you think will be the biggest challenge? Anything you would advise doing, learning in the meantime? So the biggest challenge that you're going to have is your mindset. I believe that the SDR role, for SDRs that are in here, you can tell me if you agree or disagree with this, what I'm about to say. So in the comments, you're going to put disagree or agree. However, I believe that the SDR role is 90% your mindset. 90%. And some of you are like, that's aggressive, Morgan. No. 90% is your mindset. That is going to be the biggest challenge, because you are going in every single day knowing you will be rejected in some form or fashion. That is a huge mindset shift for a lot of people. It's why a lot of people are not successful in the role. It's why it's one of the most challenging roles in sales. So we're going to see agree or disagree. I want to kind of see what's going on in the chat here. But the thing is that, like, it's your mindset. So what should you be doing to prep your mindset? Before I even tell you what skills to do, you got to get your mindset right. So this is what I encourage everyone to do. Have a morning routine. Are you writing down what you're grateful for? Are you writing down what your goals are? Are you writing down positive affirmations? These are things that I do every single day to have a positive mindset. Because when my mindset is positive, my actions are positive. My results are positive because my actions are positive. So make sure that your mindset is on point here. That's critical. That's probably going to be the biggest challenge. Next, number 2 is going to be organized. So we had a question that came in here about organization, right? And so the whole thing is, you have to be organized. And I say this all the time. An organized schedule leads to organized results. A sporadic schedule leads to sporadic results. If you have no idea how you're getting results, I don't know how you're going to keep doing them. I remember as a manager, I was like, yo, how did you get that quota last month? Oh, I didn't know, Morgan. Well, if you don't know, then I don't know, right? And now we can't repeat it, and now we're stuck. Right? So don't be the rep who's like, well, I don't know how I got this last month. Don't be that rep. All right. Be the rep who's like, nope, I know exactly what I did last month. Here's how I got it. And here's how I continue to do this. Right? That's key. And then The third tip I would give you is be willing to adjust and try out new things. This is the biggest obstacle for a lot of reps right now. There are still reps who are not using video after I've been telling people to use it for 6 months. They're still not doing it. I don't know why, but they're not. And the thing is, there's a lot of people who are getting results from it. Now, if you've done it and haven't seen results, different conversation. However, a lot of people are afraid or unwilling to try out new things to see whether or not it works. If it works, then congrats. If it didn't, then you're in the same spot you were originally. So what are you doing? So make sure that you're trying out new things. Keelan, this is something I would highly advise, whether it's new video techniques that I talk about, whether it's new cold calling techniques that I share, or it's other things in the market that people share on emailing and asking for referrals and how to do direct mail. I would be making sure that I am trying out new things. And I encourage you to always do a sample size of 50 to 100 to be like, does this work or does it not work? And that's what I would be doing as a rep. If I was coming in as an SDR, I'd be focused on those 3 things, and I know I would lead to success. There are obviously other factors of asking for help, right, from other top SDRs and continuously asking for proactive coaching from your manager. But those are 3 things, Keelan, you can do right going into the SDR role. So hopefully that's helpful for everyone here on this live stream here today. And Robert said, I want to pull this up, but multi-channel is key, and you want to make sure that you're using multiple channels. Just because you're really great at the phone doesn't mean that someone wouldn't respond to your email or your social touch or your video, right? So making sure that you're using multiple channels, that's extremely important. All right, so we got some other questions in here as well that I will be going through. All right, so keep the questions flowing in here. And all right, okay, I haven't sent any text to my prospects cold. I don't advise to do that. That's me. However, what I would advise is to get your prospect's number once you've had a conversation. So if this is my AEs and sales leaders out here, all right? I try to get the phone number. My goal is to get someone's phone number every single time after the qualification call. Text have a 90% view rate. So for those of you who saw the new Muffins with Morgan landing page, if you did, you can put a 1 for me if you saw the new landing page. And I don't know what you guys thought about it. It's been my favorite thing to be a part of and help the team build. However, we have a text landing page, all right? So the reason we did a text landing page is because text has a 90% view rate. All right, so let me go back, all right, because this is important. Text has a 90% view rate. That's pretty good, all right? So that's why I'm getting numbers from my prospects to text them. So I would encourage you to do that. Cold text, I wouldn't recommend that. That's just me. Someone else has done it successfully. You can pop in the chat and let me know. But what I'm focused on is how can I get someone's text after the discovery call, and that's really my main goal there. So that's what I'm doing. So hope that's helpful there. All right. So Jeremy, thank you. We had to come in high with that landing page. So we had to switch it up for him. So I see a couple questions flowing in. Judith, I see you. John, I see you. Daryl, I see you. We got a good amount of questions, and I'm going to get to you all. So hang in tight. I got you. Emily, I also saw that you put back in what you wanted to say, so I'll get back to you. But let me go to Daryl real quick. He's asking, how do you feel about sending a virtual demo via Vidyard or Loom to highlight a product service if you can't get on the calendar of a C-suite executive? Absolutely do this. This is really critical. So if you have talked to your champion, make sure to ask them to get a meeting with the executive, right? If you can't get a meeting with the executive, that's fine, because then you can ask, hey, if we can't get in front of the executive, can I make you what I do here, Daryl, a video proposal to give context to what we are offering to your organization? This is what I do a lot, and it's helped me close some pretty big logos over here at JB Sales because I used the proposal and the video on the proposal to sell to the team internally. So what I ended up doing is, Daryl, I talked to my champions. We couldn't get to the executive for whatever reason. I created a 5 to 7 minute video going over proposal to provide context. And think about it, right? That's going to save the executive time. This is all about being agile and saving people time. So if I make a video, go over the proposal that I would talk to you in a 30-minute meeting about, right? Or maybe for those of you who have an enterprise solution, it might be a 60-minute meeting, right? I can explain this in 5 to 7 minutes. I send it to my champion. My champion shows it to the executive. The executive watches the video, and they're like, oh, this is good. I will give sign-off to this. I don't have to spend 30 minutes meeting with the executive. They don't have to spend 30 minutes meeting with me. They just watch the video from me. That expedited the sales cycle. It makes your champion look great, and now everyone wins. So, Daryl, make videos for your executives if you cannot get in front of them. I do that a lot when I can't have the face-to-face meeting, and it's a good way to just show this is what I'm about. All right, that was a great question. So, Emily, here, right, you asked about people requesting info about moving call for realtor, both buyers and sellers. Once you call, they hang up. So if they hang up, then I would send them an email and just say, hey, Sally, looks like calling is not your thing. So I decided to follow up with you via email. And the reason I'm emailing you is for these things. That's what I would do. Some people don't like talking on the phone. I get it. So send them an email or send them a video saying, hey, looks like you don't like calls. Here's another channel. Because they filled out the form, right? So I can't be annoying you if you filled out the form. So I'm just trying to contact you based on what you told me you wanted to talk about. So Emily, that's what I would do there. Some people just don't like talking on the phone, and that's fine. All right, so we have a good amount of stuff flowing in here. Good evening, Chisholm. What's going on? And Robbie, videos are just the best way to connect. You guys are going to hear me say it a lot. However, again, at the end of the day, that right there, what I just gave you is really critical because that's going to give you just better conversation flow and also as well. So that's what I would do. And Ariel, I normally don't do video as my first touch. I don't think you're asking Robert there, but I do not do video as my first touch. I like to build up with an email and my calls and other things before I do a video. I normally don't do it as a first touch. Yeah. Malcolm, no, what's up, Malcolm? Hope you're doing well. It's good seeing you, man. Yeah, don't do generic demos. Like, think about it. Like, I don't want to go through a generic demo, so don't give one, right? So that's a key thing right there. All right, new SDR here. John, what's going on, man? Happy to have you here on Muffins and Morgan. You're asking tips on how to be engaging, not sound shocked or exhausted with your prospect on a cold call after 6 hours straight of no answers. That's tough. That's really tough. 6 hours straight of no answers. So here's a couple things that I would say. All right. So one is doing 6 straight hours of calling. I would suggest not to do that first and foremost, if that's what you're doing. I would break up those call slots into 60 or 90-minute intervals and then take a break and go do something else and then come back to it. If you're doing 6 straight hours, you're not going to sound excited and you will be exhausted. I think anybody on this call could probably attest, right, watching this live stream today, to probably not being that excited if they were doing 6 hours straight of calling and they finally got someone. It's hard to do that. So I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning, is find a song to get you pumped before you go into your call blitz. However, this is what you should be doing as well. Make sure that you're doing some mock cold calling with your manager or another rep before you do your call blitz. It's just like in baseball. In baseball, they don't just say, hey, batter, come up here to the plate and hit this pitch. They have a batter's circle that they practice in before they even get there. So you as a rep need to take the same approach. Get in the batter's circle before you get on the call. That will allow you to be more engaged. It will allow you to not be exhausted and be more on point. I did this with all of my reps when I was a manager. We would do mock cold calling before we even got into the call blitz. 20, 30 minutes, just going back on a couple of calls, throwing objections your way, getting you on point. So now when you get on the call, boom, muscle memory. We're ready for the conversation. So, John, that's what I'd be doing before you're making these calls. But separate your calls into different time blocks so you're not getting exhausted after all those things that you're doing, man. That's what I would suggest. Hopefully that helps. You gotta, yeah, Juice, you gotta have a hype up song. So I'm actually curious. Question out to the audience here who's still on here, and I appreciate you guys being here. What is your hype up song before you do a cold call blitz, or maybe before you do a demo call? I'm curious to see what everyone's thoughts are in there. Throw in your hype up song here in the chat, and we'll go to the next question here that we got. All right, and these are great questions. You guys are flowing and killing it today, so it's good to see some great questions coming in here as well. Yeah, Nikki, you got to have the the starter rep voice. That's my starter rep voice. All right. How do you feel about blind calendar invites if a prospect goes dark? I've seen it work surprisingly well and also seen it go very left. Any best practices? So, Judith, I am a fan. Oh, WAP. Oh, gosh. Turn down for what? So, Phil, I absolutely despise that song. I'm going to be real with you. I do not like that song at all. I went to UGA, and every single bar, they would play it. And I was like, this is just getting ridiculous. And I was about to lose my mind. All right. So I actually don't like that song. But Phil, shout out to you, though. I know it's a poppin' song. Everybody likes that. And Malcolm said, and before I answer this question, this is a good one. If mock calls are getting stale, try doing a question game where everyone keeps the conversation going by asking only questions. That's a great point as well, Malcolm. And it's a good one to pay attention to. Swag surfing is a really good one. They finally put no ceilings on Spotify, so on the streaming services. So that was really good stuff. So let's get to this question, right? So Judith, I like blind calendar invites when I have engaged with the prospect. I do not like blind calendar invites when I have never had a conversation with the prospect, because that doesn't make any sense. All right. I'm not going to send you a blind calendar invite if we've never talked and you haven't been ignoring me. That's my take. I think that's a little bit invasive. So if someone has had a conversation with me, I will send a blind calendar invite. What I will say in the header of the calendar invite is propose time to connect. And then I will put their name. So Judith, let's say if you were ghosting me, Judith, greater than less than sign, Morgan, and that's it. Then what I will do is in the body of the calendar invite, I'll be like, hi, Judith, looks like we both have been busy. This is critical. You start off the calendar invite like this. Looks like we both have been busy. Okay. I'm not putting it on you. I'm not putting it on me. I'm just saying we both been busy, right? Looks like we both have been busy. This is a calendar invite for us to have our conversation about whatever your solution does. If this invite works for you, please accept it. If not, tell me a better time that works for you. Send, right? And you can send it at whatever time you feel appropriate. Then the next step is you wait. And people respond pretty quickly because we've done a slide. Jeremy, hey, it is bold. However, we've seen it to work. On my team, it worked. Because if you've had it, think about it this way. If you've had engagement with me and you told me you wanted to meet, a blind calendar invite isn't that aggressive. If we've never talked, that is bold and that is very aggressive. You told me you wanted to meet and you've ghosted me. So let's do a blind calendar invite. Let's make it easier for you. You're extremely busy. I'm trying to help you out. So, and I'm also telling you can decline it. So this is what happens pretty quickly. They accept it. Then you go in and you modify the calendar invite. You put the Zoom details in there, whatever you use, right? 2, they're going to suggest another time. Okay, pick the other time and get it on the calendar. 3, they might decline it. Then you can just follow up on it, and they may tell you, hey, this is no longer of interest. It's still fine. So that is my personal take and technique on it. I've seen it be successful. However, you have to do it the way the structure of what I just told you. You can't just throw a calendar invite on there and be like, let's chat. You have to clarify what it's about. You have to also tell them that if it's not something they want to do, it's still fine. But I've seen a lot more accepted calendar invites than declined ones when I do that strategy. So Judith, hopefully that's helpful there. And we got a +1 to that too. So if you've already spoken, again, make an agenda, makes it clear why they should accept. I agree with that as well. Add that agenda in there if you want to. And then what I would say also on that as well, right, is that I'm also sending, right, I'm sending an agenda before the call as well. So I'm sending it the day before too, right? So there's a lot of things you could do here, and everyone that's adding in the context, you guys are adding in great context here. But the idea of the blind calendar invite, again, is going to work really well if you've talked. If you haven't, don't do it. All right. So Gabriel, all some great stuff in here. You guys are adding in some great content. I appreciate you guys hopping on here on the show, and I appreciate you guys ending this insight. So John, your question on videos, I place my videos inside of the email. I don't place them on YouTube. You don't need to necessarily do that anymore because there's Vidyear's, Loom, Drift, Video. There's so many solutions. Bomb. There's so many solutions out there. So just go find one of those platforms to use, and then you can create your video on that video selling platform, and then you can put it on email. Super simple to do, not that hard at all. All right, so I know we got a couple more questions that just flew into here. So I want to make sure that we get to them. How do you improve your sales pipeline in new region of focus in existing region in current situation? All right, so let me read that one more time so I understand it. How do you improve your sales pipeline in new region of focus in existing region? So it's a new region, but it's also an existing region. Help me understand that. I don't know if I'm reading that correctly. It's a new region, but it's an existing region. Help me understand exactly what that is. So you are obtaining a new region for yourself, and it is an existing region that has been torched, or it is a brand new region and you're trying to do existing strategies to penetrate into there. Help me understand that question a little bit more before I answer that, because I want to make sure I'm reading that right before I dive into it. Yeah, so Gabby, if there's no engagement, you definitely don't want to pop up with a counter invite. Shout out to D-Smoke. D-Smoke's a good artist. I'll definitely keep up with the baseball analogies. I used to play Little League Baseball. Was on a travel team too. Won a couple of MVPs back in the day for baseball. I stopped playing baseball because it was too slow for me, and that's why I went to basketball because it was faster. Yet I really liked the game of baseball when I played it. It was fun. I enjoyed it. So Larry, the baseball stuff will definitely be coming through. Brand new region. All right, cool. Just want to understand that. So this is what I would do is I would go in your CRM. I would go look up all the business that you've closed. Now, it depends on how clean your CRM is and how good this is going to be. Then once I'm in the CRM, I'm going to look at all of the industries that we've closed. I'm going to look at all the personas that we've closed. And then I'm going to look at which industry we've closed the most, or market, or whatever you all call it in your organization. And then I'm going to look at the persona that end up signing off on the majority of the deals that were closed. This is going to require some work, yet it's going to pan out for you in the end here. So once you then have found out the industries and market, you found out the persona, then I would take those and then look at, in your brand new region, what markets and industries match these companies. And then the next thing that I would do is figure out what personas in these organizations based on, again, the data you got from your CRM, and I would target those people. If I was in a brand new region, that's exactly what I would do every single time. Make it easy on yourself. If you already have the data in your CRM, leverage that. It's just a new territory. Capitalize it based on the information I said. So hopefully that's helpful there, but that's exactly how I would go about it, and make it a very simple and consistent, cohesive strategy on top of that as well. And if you have people, as well, I'll add this addition. If you have people that you are connected with and they could give you referrals to people in that region, I would also be doing for that as well. 11% of sales reps ask for a referral. So let's go over that one more time. 11% of sales reps ask for a referral. So don't be the 11%. Ask for a referral in that region. So hopefully that's helpful you in that brand new region. If you have any questions on that, let me know. But that's exactly how I would go about it if I was in that situation. All right. Let's keep the questions flowing here. Anyone else have any additional questions as we've been here? Looks like that calendar invite. Hopefully that was helpful for a lot of people there. Looks like a lot of people had some topics on that. However, if anyone has any other additional questions they want to pop in here, we definitely can discuss it. And yeah, Larry, from a baseball, man, baseball was fun, man. It was a good time. We had a really stacked team for for the age group that we had, so it was cool to definitely play. I definitely miss playing sports. Ever since I hurt my Achilles, I haven't been able to like play any sport, which sucks, and can't have that competitive nature, like especially when I play basketball. But yeah, man, it was definitely a good time to playing some baseball. So I definitely really enjoyed that. All right, so again, I'm flowing through here. I'm seeing some different questions, seeing anything else that anyone wants to drop in here. And, one additional thing that I definitely will say is that, when you all are looking at all these different techniques and things that we've been talking about and all the different things that are going on right now, like make sure, again, at the end of the day that you do this stuff, all right? Like make sure you're taking action, you're doing it, because that's going to separate you between everyone else, is taking the action and going about and doing this. All right. So that's the key there. So Daryl, esports, what do you mean by that? Esports, what you talking about? What are you talking about in terms of esports? I guess I'm going to have to be an esporter. Hey, I'll tell you this right now. Fall Guys, I'm killing it on Fall Guys. If you all are playing Fall Guys, hit me up. Like that is my game. That's what I'm going to play after this conversation. Fall Guys has been my vibe as of late. I've been killing them in Fall Guys. So that's one of my top games right there. All right, so Robert, glorious muffin madness insight with that new region approach. It's that simple. Some work, yes, but solid. I mean, it is like it. A lot of the stuff is simple, right? Yeah, it does require some work, right, to get in there. Like it's not exciting. Like that answer is not exciting, right? It's pretty boring, actually. However, it's what's going to help you get that success. Rob with Travis Scott highest in the room. I don't know if that's really yours. Hey, shout out to Rob there, because I'm a huge Travis Scott fan, so I'm all about that. And yeah, I mean, so I think that esports, across the board is, if you've been paying attention to it, has had a really high traction, and it's starting to get a lot of people paying attention to it, and also a lot of revenue too. And so it's something to pay attention to in terms of the esports and all the things that are going on, and something to not sleep on. So yeah, I mean, I'm a huge proponent of esports. I've been paying attention to it for quite a while. So it's something to, again, definitely pay attention to across the board. So if you're not, I'd start doing some investigation. All right, so we got about 5 minutes left. If no one has any other questions, we'll be good to go. But I want to see if anyone has any lasting questions before we hop out. If you have not seen the new landing page, I'm going to drop it in here. This is how you're going to get updated on what's going on with Muffins. It's my new landing page. So I'm going to drop it in here for those of you that are still on. If you guys want to check it out, I just dropped it in there. This one is critical. I mean, we spent some time on it, but it's been really awesome. So you guys see right there, if you want to learn more about what's going on and getting updates on Muffins with Morgan, I would definitely go ahead and go into there, sign up. We are continuously updating this platform and making sure that this show is the best it can be for your live stream and answering all your questions. So again, I appreciate everyone showing up, asking great questions and things across the board. So Anna's asking this question, and then we'll be out of here. Tips on personal brand on LinkedIn. So I need $1. $1 is all I need. Hey, Alec, we all do, right? We're all out here. So tips on building a personal brand on LinkedIn. So this is an interesting question, because there's a lot here in answering this question. There's a lot. And the interesting thing about this is that I've seen a lot of people come at personal brand as of late. I've seen some people be huge proponents of it across the board. And I've been building brand for quite a while. It's been 5 to 7 years at this point. So this is what I'll tell you, is that I want everyone to stop thinking about personal brand and that word, because I think it has a negative connotation, and I think people think about it in the wrong way. What I want everyone to think about is to build your reputation. Whether you like it or not, everyone on this call or whatever, you all have a reputation. Whether you like it or not, you have one. So I'd rather build it than not have it, or just be nothing. So what I would do is, the tips is to figure out a couple things. One is, what do you want to be known for, and what's the reason that you want to build this brand? If you don't have a reason behind it, it's not going to come off as authentic, as everyone says, right? But that's a really key question to ask yourself. Number two is, in building this, what are you wanting to do, right? Do you want to make videos? Is it written? Is it a podcast? I don't know. Got to figure that out too. My other tip to it is to just be consistent. And most people, when they're building out external reputation and they're putting themselves out there, they're not consistent. If you're consistent once a week, twice a week, posting something or interacting with someone's comments, it's going to be very helpful for you. And so you have to go back to the first question, though. It's like, what's the reason that I want to build this brand? What do I want people to say? How do I want to articulate it? That's the question I would ask yourself first before you go build it. And then once you know, then you'll be able to grow within that as well. And so that would be my advice on building brand, building reputation, moving in that way. That's what I would do. So think about that. How do you want to go about and build it? What do you want it to be known for? How do you want to interact? The best way also is just going to communities. There's so many communities now. There were no communities when I started. There's a ton of communities you can go out and go find, and they will help you with comments, help you with engagement, right? So those are things I would do too. And those are like Slack groups, for example. So, and Anna, let me know if that was helpful, if you got additional questions. Is a hot dog a sandwich? It's a great question. I'm going to go with yes. That's my answer. Final answer is yes. All right. Once your prospect replies saying that they aren't interested in your offering at the moment, do you probe them with more questions, or do you give them a breather? Jeremy, have a good one, man. Do you probe them with more questions, or do you give them a breather a few days and then reach out again? I immediately will respond if someone says they're not interested in the offering at the moment. I'm definitely going to probe them with more questions, depending on what question you ask. Again, I'm going to go with two things here. One is, if they have their number, immediately call them. Hey, this is Morgan. Saw that you said you were interested in the solution. Just curious, what makes you say that? And you can find a lot of information, right? You don't want to be an annoying sales rep that follows up and follows up and follows up, right? And then it's not good, right? So that's what I would do. Immediately call or make a video. Larry, I'm going to go with the sandwich, all right? I'm going to go with the sandwich, because what is a hot dog? Is a hot dog just a hot dog? Is it just its own category? So I'm going to put it in the category of a sandwich, and I'm going to find an argument that's on that. So that's what I'm going to go with. It's a sandwich, because you got to put something in between the bun, right? Just like it's in between the bread. So in some way, it's an element of a sandwich, if you really think about it, right? Come on, Larry. All right, so that's another conversation. But, college football is starting up. That is right. That is right. College football does start today. Yeah, I would just follow up with a call, or you can send them a video. And normally when we would handle objections via email, we would send them a video to show who we are, and then be like, hey, so you're not interested at this point. Here's a couple things that we do. Would it make sense for us to connect in the future? And then also just saying, hey, here's our brand, right? So that's what we could do as well. All right, so last one, Vic. I'll answer you and then we're out of here. So if you're selling to an untapped customer base, if you are in SaaS, that means you probably have competitors. So what I would do is, if I'm brand, this is what we did when I was at a startup, and we we're just starting up, right? And we didn't have a customer base. So what we did is we went to the competitor's website. We saw clients that they had. We then looked at the client's company size, industry size, put them inside of LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and then amplified that. So then we took, let's say, for example, 1,000 to 1 to 5,000 employees. They're located in Chicago, and they're in the computer software industry. So then we would just take that same criteria, put that inside of LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and then start tapping into that market. Because if they have case studies and clients on the website as a testimonial, right, of a competitor that obviously you're sharing the same space, then obviously at the end of the day, that's probably someone I need to go after. So that is the way that I would go after an untapped customer base. Go look at what your competitors already have, and then figure out how can I go after these people with the same criteria, and then move from there. If you guys notice, all I'm doing is taking information that other people have, and then I manifest on top of that. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel when you have most of the resources right in front of you. So again, thank you all for hopping on another Muffins with Morgan. Next week, we'll be having a special guest. All right, so I'm not going to tell y'all who it is, but we're going to have a special guest. All right, so stay tuned. Next week, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys know how we do it. And as always, keep dialing. And if you didn't sign up for it, go to the Muffins with Morgan site, the landing page, all right? And sign up for that. That's how you'll get notifications of the stuff that we're doing and what's going on, all right? So, again, I appreciate you all as always, and have a good one.